Delighted to be here today to talk a little bit to you about the changes in consumer behavior and what we're seeing, and invite you to think along with us about the profound changes that are happening in the world of marketing. There's no question we live now in a period of profound technology-led change in business, in society, in culture, and yes, most fundamentally in human behavior. And think yourselves for a moment about how much your lives have changed in the last 10 to 15 years since you too became connected to the World Wide Web as a daily habit. The iPhone was introduced just 8 years ago in 2007. Now, can you imagine coming into contact with a mobile phone, with a smartphone for the first time today? How you would even begin to understand this device. It's a phone, it's a camera, it's a fitness tracker, it's a shopping assistant, it's a photo archive, it's a music player, it's a video player. It's a portal to all the world's information. Technology has radically changed the way humans communicate, and it has forever changed the ways brands communicate with consumers. Who here remembers phone boxes? Today you can find them, they're wireless hotspots all around London. Remember carrying a 10-pence coin to call home, or maybe some of you don't remember that, or even carrying coins to feed the parking meter. How about that? Or having to memorize postcodes or phone numbers, reading weather forecasts in a newspaper the day before. Or, this is my favorite, doing library research using the Dewey Decimal System. Yes, folks, that system of letters and numbers that you used in a little card catalog and then walked into the library stacks and hoped that that book would be there. My child, my 11-year-old at the time, learned about the Dewey Decimal System, and I was driving her to school. I had just joined Google. And she said, "Mommy, did you actually have to use this Dewey Decimal System thing to do research when you were my age?" And I said, "Yes, dear, I did." And I explained how it worked. And she said, "That is so Neanderthal." And then she stopped for a minute and she said, "You know," this was unprompted, "Google is kind of like the Dewey Decimal System in the sky." I said, "Yes, dear, it is. Presaging cloud computing right there in the front seat of the car." These behaviors I've just described may seem quaint now to modern eyes, and we almost take for granted what actually these new behaviors that have emerged in their place may be. The single biggest change in behavior is mobile. Humans now spend more time on mobile devices than on personal computers. We've reached the tipping point this year. There is no going back. This is a permanent status change in behavior. 74% of people in the UK own a smartphone, use them every day. 92% of young adults own them. So the next generation, the ones that usually of most interest to marketers, are already profoundly living their lives mobily. And the smart money is on mobile. It's expected that next year in 2016, ad spend on mobile will be third, only to TV at number 1 and the internet at large as number 2. But I think we should stop thinking about mobile as simply a device, because it truly now is a behavior that's changing us, behavior that's changing the way we live. It means we become more spontaneous and more opportunistic. It means we engage in smaller bursts of activity throughout the day. It means we're less prone to plan ahead, and it means we can and do change our minds at the last moment. We've done a little math. We figure the world checks its mobile phones more than 100 billion times a day. 100 billion times. It's 100 billion opportunities to understand these signals and understand more about consumers and reach out to them as marketers every single day. Does anyone here want to gander how many stars there are in our Milky Way? I Googled it about 2 hours ago. There are 300 billion stars in the Milky Way, which means in about 5 years, consumers will be connecting on their mobile devices, checking their mobile devices every day as many times as there are stars in the Milky Way. Get your head around that. If you've ever seen the Milky Way, you know it's big. Now, as Grayson Perry once said, and you'll hear from him just after me, with most aspects of behavior, the really interesting things are the unconscious things we use, the places we go when making a decision, our default settings. And we believe that human behavior is observable and often very, very revealing. In the same way a person's body language says a lot about the way they're feeling and what they're really thinking, we believe that people's online behavior can be a clear indicator of their thoughts, their feelings, and their intentions. That's why we focus so much on human behaviors at Google. Digital behaviors are signals that consumers leave all across the web. And understanding what people do is the best way to understand who people really are. Behavior is a signal rather than the noise. Behavior provides insight into who your consumers are and what they're doing. And Google understands these behaviors at a massive scale with remarkable precision. If you think about it for a second, Facebook might be about what people like. Amazon might be about what people buy. Apple might be about what people feel. But Google really is about what people do. And because behavior signals the intentions people have, it means marketing has really moved away now from the attention economy to the intention economy, from a focus on perceptions to a focus on actions, and from interrupting people who are doing something they enjoy to inviting people to do something they enjoy. Now, this is a brilliant time, in my opinion, to be a brand marketer and a whole new world in which to reimagine our craft. At Google, we believe quite strongly that search is a basic human behavior. It's what humans have always done. We've always searched for things. We've searched for the basics in life, food, water, and shelter, and some of the essential things. But we've also searched as humans for the existentials in life, like art, music, and Shakespeare. What's different about us now as a culture is that the scale of that behavior has changed enormously. There are billions upon billions of searches each day, more than 1 billion people using google.com to find what they are looking for. Last year, the world made more than 3 trillion searches on 4 words: peace, love, science, and fiction. 3 trillion searches. Would anyone here like to guess at what the #1 most asked question was on Google last year? It was, what is love? It's fascinating that that was the most asked question across all google.com last year. It gives me hope. It wasn't how to make a bomb or something like that. So search behavior tells us quite a lot about ordinary everyday life events. Take having a child, for example. Expectant parents are twice as likely to search as non-parents, and mobile has become their screen of choice. There are times when they just want information, like what to buy, what to expect, what to prepare for. But once that baby arrives, there are moments when they are looking for services, looking for advice, and we see searches move to cleaning and reusing baby clothes and even renting pushchairs. Then the baby becomes a toddler and they're searching more for schools and eventually colleges. So whether new parents or students going through their degree studies or families looking for advice on elder care, a couple looking to buy their first home, for these people and in these moments, Google becomes that proxy midwife or tutor or doctor, estate agent, lawyer, and yes, their friend. Now, consumers have come to expect a lot from technology. I don't know how many of you have ever flown across the United States, as I often did, between New York and San Francisco, and you get really grumpy when the wireless doesn't work at 32,000 feet in the air. So you're hanging over the Grand Canyon in a piece of aluminum, moving 600, 700, 800 miles an hour, and you get cranky if your internet connection is slow. We know in search, people have stopped asking simple what questions. They've now moved to why, when, where, or translate for me, or convert for me. And Google's computer science engineers have been now, for the past 4 years, working on delivering more than just information, trying to deliver knowledge that is attendant to what you've asked us in your previous search history or in the one immediately preceding. So you could say, who is the Prime Minister of the UK? And you can then say, and how tall is he? And you'll get the response. Quite literally today, people are talking to their phones as they search. Search has become conversational. And in the US, where we do measure this, 41% of people are already using voice search. We see from voice search that queries become much longer, mostly location-based, and they become increasingly conversational, more natural language. So I don't know how many, show of hands, how many of you are using a Google search app on your mobile devices today? If you don't have it, do yourselves a favor, not Google a favor, do yourselves a favor and download the app. The queries that all queries in English language have about a 93% accuracy rate, which means for the most part, everything you say, and it even understands American English, will be returned with an accurate response more than 93% of the time. Sometimes, however, we're looking just to be entertained, and for that, increasingly, people search directly on YouTube, which happens to be the second largest search engine in the planet after Google, and the most popular place that people go for entertainment. Well over 1 billion people each month go to YouTube to be entertained, to be informed, to be provided some form of utility, and to share in the global cultural phenomenon of online video. Half of these people, more than 3 billion video views a day, are happening on mobile devices already. It's a daily habit for people, like brushing their teeth. And to think that YouTube, actually, the first video ever posted to YouTube happened in May 10 years ago. So YouTube is just 10 years old this year and already a daily habit for millions of people around the world. The popularity that we see on YouTube is really driven by the diversity of content that's up there and the variety of interests it serves. The platform is already very well known for large-scale creators like Disney, Universal Music, Sony, and the well-known gaming network, Machinima. These represent 3 of the largest classes of content consumed on YouTube: entertainment, music, and gaming. But it's also a platform for smaller content creators, like the UK mum vlogger Hannah Maggs, or a guy named Thatcher Joe, who's the well-known Zoella, a #1 YouTube content creator, and now even an author, a book author. Thatcher Joe is now a rising content creator, so it's all in the family there at Zoella's house. Pretty smart people. But YouTube, essentially, if you strip it down, it's a video platform where people create, broadcast, and share. And in these last 10 years, it absolutely has become the world's entertainment platform. Whatever you're into, and I mean whatever you're into, if it's cooking, if it's gardening, if it's woodworking, if it's extreme sports, you will find it on YouTube from all over the world in one place on whatever screen you prefer. YouTube really is the world's gaming platform, the world's music platform, news platform, comedy platform, the world's food platform, and it's, well, the world's whatever the world loves to do platform. Increasingly, we're seeing traditional TV brands also turn to YouTube to extend their audience reach. ITV have used YouTube to distribute X Factor content across the world and really extend their audience. And original content producers like Sky have used YouTube to launch programs, first on YouTube, and find new viewers and engage them in the new show before it even airs on Sky. Fortitude was the latest blockbuster from Sky. They took this broad audience on YouTube, And we helped them target viewers who were prone to like the show. We fed different segments of 30-second content, then extended that to 3 minutes of content, and eventually we provided the first full-length episode on YouTube to viewers on YouTube before the program aired on Sky, all based on the signals that their behaviors signaled back to us. So effectively, we're seeing a shift from media scheduling to media sequencing. Those rotations of content from Sky to YouTube were very individual. They were based on previous behavior. It was not a mass media schedule, but one that was really targeted based on these data signals. So we see now that increasingly using YouTube, marketers can tease and trial a variety of media over time and serve content in ways they might not have thought of years earlier. And we know, too, that YouTube is a place of intention, intentional viewing. People choose, it's a lean-in, it's a choice-based engagement mode. Those intentions provide even stronger signals now that half of all viewing happens on mobile devices. And a recent study we did with Ipsos showed that as opposed to TV viewing, people watching online video on a mobile device are twice as likely to expect advertising to really fit closely the content they're watching. They've become more discerning and a bit more demanding of what we as marketers deliver to them. So this presents a whole new challenge for us as marketers. We really do need to think differently about the way brands engage consumers, from a content strategy, a creative strategy, and a media strategy. In the intention economy, we had a rule. The bigger the screen, the more outstanding the content would need to be. But what if we reimagine that rule for the intention economy? What if instead we turn it on its head and recognize that now the smaller the screen, the more outstanding the content needs to be? So I've covered a bit about mobile behavior, search behavior, entertainment behavior, and what would happen if you could integrate signals across mobile, video, and search? Well, we would create a more precise understanding of what people do and what they want. And so this is essentially what programmatic media buying is. It allows us to target customers very precisely based on a collection of observed behavioral data from the last 30 days of their web history. And again, we're not talking here about inferred preferences or claimed behavior. This is authentic, actual, anonymized digital behavior. A lot can happen in a second. And we've done a little math again. So every second around the globe, there are 44,000 Google searches, 5,000 Facebook status updates, 90,000 YouTube video views, 7,000 tweets. And these four sources alone provide over 140,000 audience signals per second. It takes a lot of computational power to make sense of all that. This vast amount of audience data, signals we call them, means your brand can buy the exact and appropriate audience you want rather than an approximate audience. So for the past 16 years, Google's mission has been to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful to people. And this mission really does also encapsulate what we do to organize the world's audience signals against our Doubleclick ad technology platform. Doubleclick aggregates more audience signals, literally billions and billions and billions of them each day, than any tech provider. And it's an open platform, so it allows brands to bring their own data layers, their own understanding, customer CRM data, other third-party signals, to provide a single view of your customer. So later on today, you'll hear from Tracy DeGroos, who is going to explore the creative opportunities that are presented via programmatic, and I think what you'll hear from her and the possibilities before us may surprise you. So Google, yes, understands human behaviors. We can help you communicate with your consumer at mass scale. For marketers, there are literally now millions of moments when consumers engage with your marketing messages. And Google understands those moments, those behavioral signals, perhaps better than anyone else across a consumer journey in search, on websites, whether they're watching or sharing or commenting on videos, whether they're shopping. And we understand how your consumers behave around your brand. We also understand how they behave when they're not around your brand. And as David said earlier, there's never been, in my view, a more exciting time to be in marketing. I find it thrilling after more than 20 years in this business to be part of this industry, and a delight to be here in London doing so. We at Google are all delighted to partner with you in reimagining the world of brand marketing. So thank you for joining us today, and please enjoy the rest of the afternoon.